80-20 rule is awesome. If you guys don't know what the 80-20 rule is, basically just go look it up. It applies in a lot of different contexts. In this particular one, it is 80% of all interactions that you have with fans or with other people should be a non-sales event. It should be like, hey, here's an update on my life. Here's this funny picture that I saw that made me laugh. What did you guys think? Things that allow people to interact with you. And at most 20% of it should be your, like, promoting your own stuff, your own content. And if you can kind of get that right, then you tend to gain fans a lot faster than you otherwise would.
Hey folks, welcome to the BookFunnel podcast, where indie authors get real-world advice on writing, publishing, and growing a career on their own terms. Whether you're just starting out or you're deep into your author journey, we're here to help you build your readership, boost your book sales, and connect with your audience. Each episode, we aim to bring you insights from authors, experts, and industry insiders who have been there, done that, and then some. My name is Jack. I am our lead author support specialist here at BookFunnel, and I am joined today, as always, by my co-hosts, Emma Allison and Kelly Tansey. And our guest for this episode of the BookFunnel podcast, an author and creator of Mountaindale Press, Dakota Krout.
Hey everyone.
Dakota.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to the podcast. Glad to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me, man. It's so good to be here and have a chance to chat with you all.
Absolutely. We got connected with you at Author Nation, which a lot of our upcoming podcast guests, you're going to hear us saying this a lot. We just had a chance to connect with a lot of folks there. But for those in the audience who aren't familiar with you, they don't know Dakota Krout, the man, the myth, the legend, right? Fill us in. Who are you? What do you do? What are you all about?
Absolutely. So my name is Dakota Krout. I'm an international best-selling author. So I have, I've written about 58 books now and published, 58 books out and published, which is awesome. So I have all of those in ebooks, hardcovers, paperbacks, audio. So I've done the whole gambit of, production from start to finish. I started a publishing company back in 2018, and we publish other people within my own genre. So I started in 2016, so it's my 10-year anniversary of writing coming up, so it's a lot of fun. I've been full-time most of that time, so about 9 years of that, and just living the dream, man. And so I write in the three genres, which are all kind of sister genres, like really closely tied together, which is LitRPG, GameLit, and Cultivation. Each of those is a progression fantasy. So basically, you start weak, you get strong, and then the audience is along for the ride, seeing the individual steps as that happens. With LitRPG and GameLit, essentially what that is fantasy, or in more rare cases, science fiction, which is then bound by the rules of a video game. So it's not like a choose your own adventure, but it is more like kind of a D&D campaign where you get to see the status sheets or like the character. You see how they're gaining experience, how they're leveling up their skills, what is needed, like what is the economy of magic that you need in order to make things happen. So lots of intricate details, lots of really fun storytelling, great books, whole genre.
Right. And the lit RPG genre and some of its sister genres are relatively new.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously being, I believe we're fellow millennials here, right? I have this comes up with me regularly especially when I'm talking to other authors who might be Gen X. And this is, by the way, Gen X, I love you guys. You're great. But if we're talking about like what inspired us to become an author, they'll often talk about movies and maybe sometimes like a TV show, or this, that, or the other, or obviously books that they've read. And we'll usually have that in common. But for myself, I was like, oh yeah, I've never seen that movie before. And I don't know what you're talking about, but I've played video games all my life, right? From the time I was a kid. And so I think it's kind of a natural consequence of a generation of kids who grew up playing video games, not just going to the arcade, but like at home, and Dungeons and Dragons to an extent, which isn't a video game, but still that type of gaming has influenced, writing and publishing, which is just awesome to see. We're gonna talk more about that. We're also going to talk about some of the stuff you do around branding. We can talk about. We have no like set agenda. This is going to be a nice casual episode of the podcast, so everybody, you can buckle up and we're gonna sort of chill together. Is what we'll do for today. It's actually the day before Thanksgiving as we're recording this too. So just so everybody has it in mind. So what got you into lit RPG? Like how was that? Was that because you would have started around the time when it was a little bit more fresh?
Oh, yeah.
All right. What was it like back in that day? Back in the
Yeah, it
day.
was, it was very interesting. So I wrote my first novel just to write a book. And I don't know if there was just something in the collective consciousness that said all of a sudden everyone should come in and do this thing all together all at once. I was, I think, the fourth American author to put out a lit RPG. So just a couple came out before me. And as far as I'm aware, it hadn't really gone anywhere except with those particular people. And so I put out a book and people were like, "Hey, this kind of matches up with what this author over here is writing and what this author over here is writing. Let's like just like you should come and be a part of this community." And so I came in and I was like, "Hey, this is really cool. There's like a couple other dudes here that are doing what I'm doing." And so there is a lot of like conflict in who was the first. Was it Japanese authors to write light novels, because it's similar to that in some certain respects. There were some Russian authors who were doing something similar or in that genre, in that space as well. But like for the American author sphere, I was like number four, which was really cool. So I've been around since the founding of the genre, basically, which has
Hmm.
been really cool. So over that time, it's expanded, it's really grown, it's exploded in popularity, which has been really neat. It was around the time that Ryan Reynolds put out like, oh man, Blue Shirt Guy. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but he put out a movie that was really, really close to the really close to the genre, really close. And he even referenced it in like when he was doing interviews and stuff like that. He's like, "Yeah, I've been like reading, like I was kind of inspired by LitRPG and GameLit and stuff like that." And so it was really cool to, I think it was like Free Guy, I think was the
Free
name of
guy.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we were all just super jazzed about that. And then about 2 years ago, we as a genre were able to essentially petition for getting a BISAC code, so like a library system category code, and got through in the library system. And so then because of that, we have now an official genre on Amazon, Audible, places like that that actually sell books. So it's only in the last 2 years, so 10 years for the genre basically to have existed. Maybe like there's a little wiggle room on that, but about 10 years. And only in the last 2 years have we been officially a genre. So it's been really cool to be there from the very founding, the inception of the idea, all the way through to now we are getting closer and closer to mainstream, especially with people like Matt Dinneman and Dungeon Crawler Carl leading the way on that kind of tip of the spear into
Right.
the mass media.
Right. Right. Not everybody gets to say that, right?
Yeah, it's really
So that's definitely a feather in your cap. There's kind of two major, I guess, Dungeons and Dragons seems to be like one of the biggest influences on the genre
absolutely.
and all of the storytelling that goes on there. I know even our founder here at BookFunnel, Damon Courtney, got started telling stories by playing Dungeons and Dragons. And so then you have that, and then obviously you have video games where there's even RPG style video games and things like that that are analogous. Like for you yourself, was it more the video games that led you to lit RPG, or did you go down that Dungeons and Dragons route? Because for me, it was the video games. I've played Dungeons and Dragons once in my life. I enjoyed it thoroughly, but I haven't had the opportunity to play it since. So,
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I played D&D with really really cool people, which is neat. Like my current group includes Luke Gygax, who is the son of the creator of D&D,
mhm.
Gary Gygax. So I get to see him at least once a year, every year at GaryCon, which is really neat. And we sit and play D&D for hours and hours, and it's really neat. But yeah, it was D&D for sure was the big draw for me. I've always been good with the storytelling aspect of things. I've always been a really huge reader, love to read. I always knew I would do something with books. I just didn't know what. Like I thought maybe acquisitions because I read really fast, or I might do something. But being an author, it was always kind of surprising. So I did like video games, but I was more of a first person shooter sort of guy. So
Mhm.
like Halo way back in the day and Call of
Yep.
Duty and stuff like that. I
Yep.
was in the army, so that was kind of the socially acceptable video games at the time. And for army guys, right? And yeah, so it was cool. But when I was kind of coming out of the army and doing other things in college, I have a degree in computer science, so I was hanging around with my fellow nerds really constantly, and we started a really large D&D group. From there, I just kind of got into running the campaign, so I was in charge of making them happen, getting people to attend, actually doing the DMing of it, so the dungeon mastering of it. And just over time that breaks up, right? You can't get
Yeah.
like 15 people to show up on a consistent basis and do that. But I had lots of ideas and I started writing them down. So for me, my first book kind of came about because since I was the one in charge of making the monsters happen and getting people in and getting them, like, finding ways to kill them off creatively, I wrote a book called Dungeon Born, right? With a B there, born. Just sometimes I had to enunciate.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I
And
get it. I get it.
And so the Divine Dungeon is the series, and so the whole idea of that series is it is from the perspective of the dungeon as it's trying to lure in adventurers with promises of experience and magical weapons and treasure, all in an attempt to eat them, right? And so it's a eminently fair system, but if they don't make it through, the dungeon profits greatly. And that was a ton of fun, and it really just let me do more with that. So I did 5 books in that series, and then kind of at that point I was really in the genre. I was really focused on what was popular at the time, what was like what people really wanted out of it, and I started my next series. And now 53 books later, yeah. So 50 books out, 58 books out, and another one coming out next month with you guys coming out. Gonna be go through my website through BookFunnel, so it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Ebook, audiobook.
That's great. That's great.
So I had a question just about the technicality of like the writing of it. Since it has a lot of the powers of the characters move and shift, and how is that tracked? I'm just trying to imagine like how you guys are tracking that throughout a story, because I have never read lit RPG, so I'm just trying to like figure out like what other things are in lit RPG that probably isn't in other genres.
Would you like me to show you?
I would love you to
Absolutely.
show.
We're here for it. We're
All
here
right.
for it.
So this is kind of a fun one because let's see if I can share my screen here. I get this question a lot, and I'm actively writing this next story, so I can show you this without too much issue. But
Sweet.
the short answer is spreadsheets, right?
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Let's see if I can click just this guy share. Is that showing? Okay. So I track everything.
Yeah.
So I have the class, their specializations, their experience levels, and my coding on this is like here's how you track the next level, right? Is this so here's what the actual level is. So I do actual serious math in order to like figure out
Yep.
how the levels should be accruing, right? So like we got like the floor of -1 divided by 2 plus square root of 1/4 plus the right. And so it goes down. I keep track of all of these. I keep track of skills and how they level up. This looks more like, if I zoom out a bit, it looks like this, where it says, here's how to utilize it. Here's the description. Here's modifiers, cost, all these other fun things. And that changes along how crafting works in different ways,
Yeah.
how damage is tracked and output. Quest lines, I just cleaned this out because it was totally full, and I just went through and cleared all the ones that had been already completed. Oh, how like areas are zoned for different people. Reputation, gear, my debuffs table is really fun. So this is how like I'm like, hey, when something happens to this character, this is the effect that happens to them, right? And it's basically based on a matrix. You just kind of figure out from there. And then other than that, it's just kind of personality modeling. And then I have like each of these is actually much larger than it looks like, but so it pulls that in. So I track everything. And reputation will be like every character that shows up and the last time I saw them, the next time I'm going to see them, what their goal is in the intervening time. And so I don't mind showing that because the actual utilization of it is ridiculously hard to set up. Too easy. Like, hey, try and model this. Like, this is how it looks for me. Feel free to use it if you can. But I mean, I'm not going to give someone my sheet because
Oh, yeah.
that represents like 6 years of actual like effort with tracking all of that very carefully.
Right.
So are you writing within a series? Are all of your books connected, and then all of these characters are just kind of coming back and cycling through, or?
This is just one of my series. So
Okay.
yeah,
You
so
have that same kind of setup for each of your series.
yes, kind of. So I actually have I try to create a unique system for each series that I write in so that if nothing else, that feels incredibly fresh, right?
Right.
So this one is very close to like the D&D style of how I used to play. So this was my first real like hard number crunching book series. My other series tend to be much less necessary to do that sort of thing. So I have one called Full Murder Hobo, which is there's 10 different tiers of power, and
I love that
like,
title. I just love that title.
right,
I'm
isn't it
sorry.
great? Yeah. So that's not even the title. That's the series name, right? So
Yes, no, yes.
yeah. So the trilogy is Something, Anything, and Everything, so that I can say, hey, if you read Something by Dakota, book 1, soon you'll be reading Anything by Dakota, book 2, and then
I
you'll read
love it.
Everything by Dakota, right? As though that's my whole marketing ploy for that series. And it's a lot of
Let's
fun.
put a pin in that for when we talk about marketing
We're
and
gonna talk
branding
about
here in a minute.
marketing.
But yeah,
It's a ton of fun. Yeah. Coming here for actionable steps, guys. Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
for coming to the podcast.
So I was just thinking about the reader experience then too. As the reader is reading your book, are they also keeping their own little tracks of what your characters are doing just to kind of keep moving along with them? Or, I
And
mean, that's such a complex system that you have. Are they picking that up and like moving with that? Yeah.
so many people make their own version of what I do here. Like, cause I don't have my actual, like, here's the direct data of how this works, but I have people that correct me down to the 100th decimal, like to the 100th place on the decimal. So like, yeah, 0.001, like, and
Your calculations are off.
On your
yes.
own stuff?
It does
That's bold.
happen. And a lot of times it's just because of how like Excel will round stuff versus how they think it's being rounded. But it's really cool because I have a lot of really intense fans that love that sort of stuff. And they
Yeah.
come in and sometimes they're right. Sometimes I had to adjust something, which is really cool just to have that kind of dedicated fan base. But otherwise I kind of I give brief updates throughout the books on like, here's what's like changing as you go through. And like now with this particular series, I just finished book 13 that's coming out next month with BookFunnel, and then a month later for sale on other sites. And I'm working on book 14. This particular series is going to be 20 books long by the time it's done. Oh, lots of fun.
Okay,
Nice.
this is
Very
really
cool.
exciting because we hardly ever get to talk craft on this podcast. What I want to know, because I write epic fantasy and I love to geek out over world building and magic systems, and now I realize I'm a rank amateur because that's meticulous, man. But like, what are some principles in crafting the GameLit world and LitRPG magic systems that may be some basic things, tips you could give to like epic fantasy authors when they're crafting their magic systems? Like,
Cool. Absolutely. So the first one is I would look at Brandon Sanderson's Rules of Magic.
yes,
So if you haven't seen that, that's okay. But like,
yes.
I highly recommend it. So the Sanderson Rules of Magic have this great thing in them where it's like just kind of gives some simple stuff that is very helpful. I have some pretty straightforward stuff, right? First, I would not recommend starting with as intense of a system as that one is. With the Sanderson Rules of Magic, one of the cool things that really helped shape my own vision for this stuff was everything has to have a cost, right? And that
Mhm.
cost can be time, talent, or treasure, basically. If you want to cast really cool high level magics, there should be a physical cost associated with that, not just like, oh, well, I'm tired now for a little bit. No, it should be like, hey, I had to sacrifice big components, or I need to like I had to sell off certain spells, or I have to do certain things as a wizard in order to afford the bigger things that I want to do. And it's kind of this cycle, like anything else you want to do in life, where if you want cool things, you have to work for them. And when you do that, it definitely does help to make the world feel more realistic. So a lot of fun there. Otherwise, when it comes to the actual skill system, like the crafting of a skill system, what I like to do is tell people to create what I call open formula systems. And so an open formula system is the idea that you can give me any power at all, and I can make it work with my system. Right. And I do that because I have skill tiers, so big jumps in power. I have 10 different tiers within a skill system, and I might have levels within a tier. So like you might get from level 1 to 10 in a tier, and then it moves to tier 2. So anyone want to play a game?
Yes.
All right.
Sure.
Give me any power at all, and I can fit it into my open system that I have here for the 1 to 10.
Okay, my current FMC is a forger, so she can she has the ability, she can forge anything. It just comes to her. She puts pen to paper, and she's very valuable in her world.
Okay. So when you say forger, like, are you saying like she takes a dollar bill and makes a counterfeit, or are you saying
Handwriting, so she can forge documents.
okay? Okay,
just
cool. Because
by
my head went straight to like blacksmithing, forging.
That's
I was thinking
Yes.
like gathering. That's what I thought it was. Like
Yeah.
foraging.
Yes, no.
All right. So I can make that work very easily. All right. So we have the first tier so how it works is every odd tier you get a new effect added to what you're doing. Okay. Every even tier you get a bonus to the previous effects. Okay. So at tier 1 you have your first effect. And what I would do with this one is I would say I can, while touching a document, sit there and copy it out perfectly. Right. So it is on touch, right? So cool. So that would be the tier 1. I can copy that out perfectly. And then if I do like level 1 to 10 within that tier, I can be like, I can do it faster. I can do it more accurately. I can do it like so that like people can't recognize that it's a forgery, things like that. So the bonus, so when we get to tier 2, I can now do that at range, right? Hey, there's a document over there. I kind of either telepathically connect to it or I do something else, and now I can, at range, forge this perfectly, exactly how I did on the previous tier, but now I don't have to be touching it to make that happen. Okay?
bruh, this book is supposed to be a 35,000 word novella.
Sure.
Darn you.
All right.
It's going to be
No, I'm
longer
like,
than an
wait
hour.
a minute.
Yeah, but so then tier 3 gives it a second effect, right? Second effect could be I would branch it in one of two ways. It destroys the original after I forge it. Or, so like now, because I can do this at range and perfectly, I can say, hey, look, I'm going to make the deed to that house that guy is holding and just like casually doing, I'll forge it out, done. That one is destroyed. I have one that is now the only copy and it's however I want it to be. So boom, mine, right?
Bro,
Right. Or,
you make
or I
this sound so simple.
Yeah, well,
I'm
that's what I
blown
do.
away.
I'm a system builder. That's my whole deal. Or I could say like now it's so I have the at range, so I could say with this second effect I could do magical documents, right? So I could forge a magical document, right? So which one would you like me to branch with?
Let's go with magical.
Okay, so making magical documents. All right. So now I can forge magical documents. That's cool. I can do it at range and I can do it perfectly. So that's my first 3 tiers. So then the next is a multi-target. So I can do a multi-target where I can do multiple documents quickly or at once, or I can combine multiple documents into one or like make all that happen. Or I could say like, hey, when I'm forging this on one piece of paper, now it goes out on multiple. So that would be really cool if you're doing something where you're like forging banknotes or something like that. And then you're like, do that. And then all of a sudden you have like a big pile of $100 bills because you've been doing that, right? Or if you're like doing other magical documents, you could say like, hey, I'm making these contracts that impact everyone in my world because these are really necessary. And so like I can just make this and then everyone can have their own one to sign. And so now I have all these magical documents, that big stack of them done, paperwork done.
So if everybody is in the throne room negotiating this worldwide treaty, my gal can be in the corner, like posing as a servant. And as the treaty is being written, she could be like altering it to put in her own cup. Bro.
So that's actually that would be a different effect for me. So that would be the next tier up. Like if I can do if I can do a bunch of stuff, because I would say that would be a full effect on its own, is altering a document that you're forging
as it's being written. Okay.
Or you could even drop that down a lower tier where you're like at range I can alter documents, higher range. But that's the cool thing, is that all of these work and you just have to put it within certain bounds, because you can give it a new effect every other rank, right? But then, so like bonus is multi-target, and then we have the third effect, which we're just saying is, let's do that. Let's say we'll alter, where we can alter magical and regular documents on the fly as they're going on. And then the follow-up tier, so now we're at all the way down to tier 6 already, would be an area of effect. So where I can go in there and I can do all of those things and impact an area with that. So I could go into like a library and forge books, like a book at a time. Like I can do multiple pages, like a whole book, not just one document. So boom, whole book. Or I could do like this big stack of stuff and I can alter them on the fly. Like I now basically have control of information for individual books at range. Or, I can do like create a bunch of books all at once. So now instead of doing documents, I'm doing a full book at a time. Like I have one, I'm copying it down, multiple books are being made. So like basically you're a printing press at that point. Additional effects, like I liked your idea of like we can add on to that. So now like, hey, we can alter, we can change, we can do all this other fun stuff. We can hit magical documents. Now we can add on another thing, which is like, it could be anything really. So you add on an additional effect and you say, hey, I can forge all this stuff perfectly, and now it's like I can make it so that it originally looks like mine, or I can add new magical effects to it, or I can like add in things like where someone reads it and now they gain skills because of it. Like I made this magical, like I copied a grimoire and now like on use, they just know how to use the spell perfectly. So, but then the skill like the book burns away, right? So that's what I would probably do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then bonus on that one is multi-target AoE. So that would be the next tier. So you can just like select large areas and mess with stuff. So you could maybe go in there and be like, hey, for every reference of this within this area, I'm going to change that to this. So now you can affect the entire kingdom's historical records all in one go. Like you can hit every library in an area, right?
Can we stop the podcast? I need to go retcon my magic system right now.
Well,
The ninth tier is the fifth effect, and then the 10th tier is a full domain. So in this case, you have essentially total control of all written information around you within a certain space. So you can just be like, boom, I know what it is, and I can change it, alter it, copy it as needed.
excellent.
So 10 tiers.
And the beauty of it is that whether or not you're actually writing in LitRPG, having that system of progression allows you to then, whether or not you actually insert LitRPG elements into your story.
And just whirling with how
Yeah.
this is gonna. Thank
And
you, Dakota.
yeah, absolutely.
You
So the really
changed
fun
my
thing is,
craft.
yeah, and the cool thing is, like I said, I can do that with any system, like any magical thing that you want to do. People have given me burnt toast before. They've been like, hey, here's a mushroom, here's this, and yeah.
Now, what if it's not a magical system? Kelly, did you want to take a turn here? We all get a chance. We go round robin.
I don't know about like what isn't a magical system. I don't know how to do that for.
Well, have you seen like contemporary romances, like real world setting romance, right?
Yeah,
So
sure. Yeah.
what is your system in that? Well, the system is the legal system. You literally have a system built in a reality, like you have the real system that you can access, and you can be
Right.
like, hey, here's this thing, and here's the social consequences, and here's these, because these are in-world real effects, right?
Mhm.
And so
Right.
that's actually easier to be like, hey, if this happens, there you go, right?
Right. I guess you don't think of it in the same way where you're talking about like burnt toast, like how do you make burnt toast magic? But then, because you're spinning it into like actual ability, but like you're right, there's world building in every story. So
Yeah.
if you think about like just within, community or something like that, there has to be world building and settings. I was thinking about like the cozy genre of like, what is the world building like in a cozy mystery or a cozy romance compared to, say, a contemporary romance, which they're both
Yeah.
contemporary, but there are some rules in which the world kind of, alter like how that works, and it's all just world building.
Well, and forgive me because I'm coming at this as a guy who doesn't read or write romance, but there are video games out there that involve romance. And like building a relationship with a character, and you say the right thing, and then you're like, there's some points that are being tracked in the background that shows like, then the next time you talk to them, you'll have the option to, lean
Progress
in
your
for a kiss or
relationship.
something like, you know what I mean? Exactly. Now, I mean, Kelly, you keep going, Kelly, if you want to,
Yeah. So the really
take
cool
your
thing
turn
about
here.
LitRPG and GameLit is that it does make room for basically any subgenre within
Yeah.
it. So like Travis Baldree put out a cozy LitRPG, right? Legends and Lattes, and that is a huge bestseller, like worldwide, international bestselling in bookstores. Travis Baldree, like kicking butt. And I put out a fantasy romance series recently, which was really fun. And I get more physical book sales on that series than all of my other series combined. Like not in aggregate, but like as it goes on, it's like way faster, way more physical sales. And just I can you just take the same principles and bring it
Yeah.
across to those things.
I wonder if it's like such a different experience because it's so interactive. Really, it brings the reader into an interaction so that it can like go across all genres. So having a contemporary romance would be an interesting experiment to see if somebody could do a contemporary, or I mean, yep, fantasy romance. Obviously, it lends itself right away.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it'd be really interesting. And the cozy thing, my daughter has read that book, the Legends and Lattes.
Oh yeah.
Loved it. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
she
and
read
I'd say in contemporary, what you could do is like, hey, you have your one person, so your first tier, you're at touch range. So let's make it a Hallmark movie, right? So we're at touch range. So you start with your fiance and you're on your way back to your hometown, right? Everyone knows where this is going, right? And so then your tier two in your contemporary romance is like, hey, now you are at range from your first, from your fiance, from this other stuff. And are you going to maintain that, or are you going to add in an additional effect, which would be now a love triangle, right? And so you have this sort of thing, and it does work with most stuff. And then eventually, multi-target is like, hey, now they're all in town. He wants you to come back to the big city. Third effect is like, well, now that guy has a person who's interested in him, and now he's wondering, here's the area of effect. Like now we're down to tier six already. Is what's happening with your high school sweetheart, your current fiance, their love interest, or the person who's love interesting with them. How is that impacting the town around you? Right? Are you causing like big havoc, or like is more people getting involved? And then it can cascade out from there until you have like the whole town, or a tier 10 domain, like the whole town is involved in your personal love life, right? And so it's just kind of shifting how you see it to be like, does it fit within the bounds of that? Yeah, fun, right?
Yeah,
It's interesting. That's very cool.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, though I think it's an element of it that I think helps a lot of authors. It's like a creative restraint in some respects. Like
Absolutely.
you're putting rules in place, and that helps you it kind of helps you to understand not only like what's supposed to come next or what's the natural progression of this thing. And as far as world building is concerned, I think that's helpful. You mentioned Halo earlier.
Yeah, I did.
And so I have to say this, that my current series that I'm working on is actually heavily inspired by Halo. Now, if we're in that genre, we're leaning more GameLit at that point, right?
Probably,
Over
yes.
LitRPG. For those who aren't like, these are new concepts to all of them, what's the biggest difference there? Like LitRPG, if you're just gonna dumb it down and summarize it, what's the difference?
I would say that the difference is a hard magic system for LitRPG versus a soft magic system for GameLit. And that doesn't mean no system. That doesn't mean nothing, like the numbers don't matter. But it does
Mhm.
mean more to the effect of, hey, you don't have to track every little thing, right? So
Yeah.
if I wanted to do a Halo in a lit RPG style, I would track the stats of his weapons, his armor, the enemies around him, like what's the power scaling between them, right? So how many times does this work? How many times do I need to do this to break that overshield, right? Versus Gamelet, which is like, hey, I found a shotgun, you know, uh,
Yeah.
and this is great because now I can just like smash right through that. But I had to keep track of my gear, keep track of my armor still, like, and do I have any personal abilities? But it's much less, hey, I need X amount of bullets or just projectile impacts on this guy, and more of a, hey, I'm progressing through this in such a way that I get bigger, more powerful guns and weapons, but I'm doing it in a progressive manner. Like you don't start with like a beam cannon on
No.
World One.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So, but we wanted to get to this. If anybody has any other questions to follow up, by the way,
Yeah, that's cool.
chime in. I don't want us to pivot too soon.
Jack,
Go ahead,
one more
Emma.
craft question.
No, I knew. I
Bring
knew
it
it.
on,
Go
guys.
for it. Go for it.
I'm in no rush.
How do you feel about protagonists who have two completely unrelated abilities?
I think that's
Because
great.
that's what I'm struggling with it right now. She's a forger, but she can also poison with a touch. And in my mind, I'm like, come on, bro, that's
Ooh.
random. Like, really?
Oh,
Like,
think
that's
of it. Think the applications for that, Emma. So you have. Let's say you can, as one of the power sets, swap the forged document with the real one. That'd be cool, right? Now, what if you used poisoned ink in the one that you swapped into their pocket, and they reached in and they're looking at it, and they're like going through a book and flipping pages, and all of a sudden they just fall over dead, right? So combinatory powers are super cool. So like, hey, I can poison this person, I can forge this stuff, well, oh my goodness, where did they get this? It's clearly poisoned. Well, I got it. I handed it to him. Well, then you're the one in trouble. And she's just in the corner like, yeah.
So, and in Lit RPG, you're saying there's no real rules about how many abilities you have, just like how you can use them.
I would say kind of like how Jack said, like the restricting yourself makes a lot of sense, right? Because if you can do anything endlessly, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you have a limited power set and you can expand on those by doing cool things or combine them in cool ways, go for it. Like that's the way to go.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
end it now. But if you ever teach a
Okay.
craft class on this, like Lit RPG for Dummies, please, like,
Sounds
I'm
good. Sounds good.
fascinated.
Cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool. I'll let you know.
Absolutely.
Well, I wanted to talk about, so we're going to kind of shift a little bit, but like, and talking about your marketing for your books, because you've built your publishing company, you have other authors that are under your press. But what sort of marketing like strategies do you guys use that you can like share with other authors, and no matter the genre, but like, what is it that you do that when you're like, I got to brand this, what am I going to do to make that stand out?
Sure. So that's really two different questions, right? So the branding
Right.
aspect of it and the marketing aspect of it. And then there's also the third, which is the advertising aspect of it, right? So essentially, how do I make this a person that can be sold, right? Because we like to work with authors, not just series, right? So it's like, how do I make this into this author into someone when they see the name Dakota Krout? How do I take it where they're like, wow, Dakota Krout has a book out. I want that book. Not, hey, this next book in my series or this series is out. I want that book. I have like 7 series going on. So if completed in different stages, so on. And I want all of my people to read all of my books, not just this one. Right. And so a lot of it comes down to like if we start with branding, right? If we can start with branding, then we'll go into marketing, then we'll go into advertising. What I like to do is, so my company has a specific brand, right? And it is essentially what we're looking for is the concepts that are bold, refined, and enduring, right? So it's Mountaindale. So you have a mountain that's very enduring. It's something that it changes the skyline, so it's very bold. And like going up there, like walking the mountain, climbing the mountain is kind of a refined activity. When you think of like, hey, that's a cool thing, right? So that's kind of where my head goes. So when we're with that. So we are always looking for ways to bring our authors in alignment with our brand while also making them different enough that they stand out on their own. And so this is something that is actively in the works. So it's something like we literally hired people to help us make this a more consistent thing across the board in progress, but it's really cool. And so what we do is we try to make it 80% the same as something that has been around for a long time, such as Mountaindale Press has been around for almost 10 years now. So it's in my genre, a fairly well-known, established thing. And then anyone with us, we try to say 80% the same. So very similar concepts, colorations, fonts, grounds, things like that. And then 20% different. So that is their unique spin on things. That could be their own logo. That could be like however they want to do it. And like my logo is actually just my name, which is cool. I just put a colon in front of it, like you guys noticed earlier. Just put a colon in front of it, and now it's a smiley face. And I say, hey, read any book with a smile, or read every book with a smile. And not only is that a call to my brand, which is about good, clean fun, which means like, hey, you can read this, you can read it with your kids, you'll be happy, like you'll leave happier than you came in, is the hope. But it's also a call to action of go and read those books because it has the smiley face on it. Read that book, right? So it's kind of that multiple layers of intent when you're making it. And so just kind of going into any branding opportunity with the plan to be intentional about it and like have a reason for why you choose things, have a reason for why you do that stuff is great. One of the things that my company does now is when we bring people on, we're going to be sitting with them and crafting them a brand, logo, colorations, fonts, all of these other things, and helping them to then be able to take that and apply it to like all of their social media posts. So now we're into the marketing aspect of things. So marketing is it's very similar to advertising, but it's free, right? So this is social media. So it could be Facebook, Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, wherever posts are made, right? doesn't matter, like wherever posts are made, taking that and creating your established brand across the board. And the idea behind this is when people are kind of endlessly doom scrolling and they're just going, you want to have in your mind that what you are doing is you are creating a tiny little billboard. And when people are driving along the informational highway, you want them to see that billboard and be like, wait a second, I recognize that. And they stop and go back and look at it. And you say, oh, I do recognize that. I recognize the colors. I recognize the look of it, the kind of overall shape. It caught my eye because it is so recognizable and has been going on for so long in association with this. And yeah, I mean, you can do that with slogans. You can do that with sounds. You can do that with colors. You know, like if I were looking at like the Chiefs, right? I mean, I would say, hey, what's their colors? What's their logo? And then basically anything that's Kansas City Chiefs, like you recognize anywhere you're looking for it, like Vikings, same deal, like other football teams that I'm less interested in, stuff like that. And you know, just it works with sports, it works with books, it works with you as a person. Like as an author, what you're trying to do always is make yourself the selling point. And so what I always recommend is create your brand, figure out who you want to be online, figure out who you want people to recognize you as, right? And then solidify that and stick with it for the next 10 years. And by then you'll have a really, really good firm foundation that is enduring and is bold, hopefully, and well refined because you're going to iterate a lot on that over the years. So you're gonna come out with what works really well. Like this, my logo is actually there's another part under it that just says Mountaindale Press, but this is the part that people recognize. So this is the part that goes on merchandise, right? And if you can't see it, it's my mountain, right? And that's the main part of my logo. So just things like that where it doesn't have to be in your face, it just has to be recognizable. So on that note, when you are going out there and you're doing marketing and you're being part of groups, you're going on social media, you are doing whatever it is, and you're building your initial audience, I always recommend people to start with marketing. So you go out there and you present yourself how you want to be seen. You interact with the communities that you want to be a part of and that you want to draw readers from. You are a participant more than you are, here's my thing, read my thing, do my thing, buy my stuff. You are there, you are talking, you are interacting, you're making a relationship with the people that are there. And then goes back to the 80-20 thing. 80-20 rule is awesome. If you guys don't know what the 80-20 rule is, basically just go look it up. It applies in a lot of different contexts. In this particular one, it is 80% of all interactions that you have with fans or with other people should be a non-sales event. It should be like, hey, here's an update on my life. Here's this funny picture that I saw that made me laugh. What did you guys think? Things that allow people to interact with you. And at most 20% of it should be your like promoting your own stuff, your own content. And if you can kind of get that right, then you tend to gain fans a lot faster than you otherwise would. Now, then we get to the advertising part of things. And that is when you've really felt that you've reached your maximum capacity with natural growth in this particular, let's say Facebook. And in Facebook, you've really reached, you haven't seen much growth in like audience or whatever else, TikTok, wherever. And now you're like, okay, well, I've reached everyone I can naturally. It's time to put some money behind this. And so you might do like ads on that platform. You might do newsletter swaps with other authors that are in similar areas that you want to be in, or have a similar enough audience that you think they would come over and read. I generally wouldn't go and put my stuff into like reach out to like space opera guys because it's not similar enough, but I would go to like military sci-fi a lot of the time and talk with them about doing some cross promotion. However, there's going to be a subset of that, which is also reading space opera. And so then I'm going to get the people that are already crossing genres and get access to them directly, which is great. So yeah, so advertising is anything you had to put money behind to make it happen. Marketing is making the relationship between yourself or other people in your creative space so that you can reach more people over time. So branding yourself is the number one step in all of that so that people know who they are interacting with. And yeah, and then from there, it all just kind of builds on top of that. That's your foundation is what is your brand? Any questions?
Because
Welcome to
without that brand, I think the main thing is that like if you switch up your brand constantly, people are going to see whatever message you have to put out there inevitably, but they're not going to it's that guy. There's something about that. It's brand recognition, right?
Mhm.
Is what it is.
Yep.
And it makes you an actual neuron in their brain.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so when you come up again, they're familiar with you. And that a lot of what you're talking about here is very basic stuff, but I think it's stuff that maybe a lot of authors
Overlook.
kind of gloss over and kind of skim over it. It's like, okay, I wrote the book, did all the things, I pushed the button, publish. Okay, I got to run ads. And
now you are at the
yeah,
starting point.
yeah, right,
So
right.
I've done the book, I've written it, I've published it. All right, the starting point I have reached.
Yeah.
That's the thing that most authors forget, is that is not the end state, right? So putting out your book is the beginning of, like, now people can find it. Now people can read it. Now you can start building all of this other stuff, this career that you want, right? And there's so much more to the author career than writing a book, that I had to start a company to handle it all. And I realized, hey, this is working really effectively with my personal stuff. Let's see if we can work with some other authors and offer the same services. Because once they get to the starting point, we have to build that author career around them. Because most authors are really good at one thing and they really want to do one thing, and that is write books. And the rest of it is just frustrating. And so I agree. And that's why I have employees.
Right.
And so that's where we are as a small
Yeah.
publisher, is we are really focused on author success, because our goal is to create. So our mission statement actually is to cultivate and champion authors so that they have a generational readership. So we want productive career authors, so that we can get a generational readership under them. So my customer in Mountaindale, my Mountaindale customers are all 100% my authors. Their customers are the ones that are buying the book. But our whole deal is, if we can get their brand right, if we can get their marketing right, if we get the books right, great cover art, great narration, audio engineering, typesetting, all the things that go into it, then if we've done all that correctly, the profit will take care of itself. But so if we are taking care of our authors, the profit is taking care of itself, because they get paid, we get paid, everyone's happy. They get to write more books. We get to do more work on their behalf while they're writing the next book and the next book and the next book. And they don't have to worry about that, which I will honestly say is a really frustrating part of, being an author, is selling the book. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because it's kind of antithetical in a lot of ways to
Mhm.
the creative process.
Yes.
It's a different set of skills.
Yeah. Being an
And
artist
not
is
everybody.
already hard enough, man.
Right.
Being
Right.
a business mind on top of it is way harder.
Right. And this is interesting because my wife and I have been talking about this, because I'm the author, writing the books and trying to, do all this stuff while I've got a full-time job, and the man is keeping me down. No, I'm kidding. BookFunnel's great. BookFunnel's, yes. No, okay. It was a joke. It was a joke. let me but still, no, and obviously I'm 100% committed and devoted to BookFunnel, and not intending to leave
Easy, Jack.
at
Easy.
all. No. Okay, yes. Oh, yeah. This could seem like an overcorrection. Like he doth protest too much. No, gosh, you got me backed into a corner now. What do I say? But no, really, like it's a lot to balance. And I think a lot of authors are in the same situation, where they love writing and they've got a full-time job that they also might love. It's the general kind of trope is that, right, every author wants to quit their day job and they hate their day job, but not everybody's in that boat, right? Some people want to do that and do the author thing,
And some
but you
people
get past
really
the creative part.
shouldn't.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, some
Yes.
people
No,
shouldn't,
that's
like,
right.
in a creative sense, even if it's not about finances. Some people need that time. I've actually had people that were like, I just went and got a part-time, even though I can afford to not. But my creative outlet was too much to be creative all the time, every day, doing
Yeah,
the
for sure.
creativity. I needed that break. So, everybody's different when it comes to that, but almost all of us are like, I just want to write the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right,
and
yeah.
to add to that, Kelly, because you make a really good point. To add to that is, a lot of people are unprepared for how lonely the lifestyle actually is, right? Like, this is my view, about 50 hours a week, right here, of just work time. And then if I want to play games on my computer, it ramps up to 51, 52. Just kidding. I play more on that. But it's
Hey, really?
and
Like, he'd
it's
be playing a lot more.
like 30 hours a day, please. No, but so it can be an extremely lonely lifestyle, and that's one of the great things about conferences. That's one of the great things about a company like Mountaindale is we've built this specifically to be a community of peers, right? So we go to events together. So like we'll go to conferences. We have our own individual things. So we do the Mountaindale Summit because we're all on the mountain. So when we all get
Yeah.
together, we're at the summit. That's cool. And so we do that every year. This year, it's really cool. I'm really not trying to hire people. Like this is not a thing like come and apply for Mountaindale. But like this year, we're taking everyone on a cruise. So that's really cool. Yeah, right. Yeah. So we're taking all of our authors on a cruise, and we're going to go there, and we sit and talk for like 3-4 hours a day about basically continuing education stuff, like things that we can do to build our careers better. And then the rest of the time is just fun. And then 6 months later, we also do a writing retreat where it's just entirely craft. We're working together in the same space. If there's any issues, you can brainstorm with each other. And so like you can walk into a room and just know that all of these people are doing the same thing. They're in the thick of it with you. They understand where you're coming from when you're like, man, this sucks. Or man, this is awesome. Or like, hey, I just made this really funny thing. Or hey, I can't get past this part in the book. Please, someone help me. Like, and then we have a community of people that can actually understand and be
Yeah.
a part of it. So it's really cool.
Right. And Dakota, to follow up on this conversation, like I mentioned, my wife and I have been having this discussion because like I'm the author, the creative side of things. When I have the time and I have no distractions and I'm devoted to it, it flows really well. But then like I've got to write a newsletter, or crap, I have to like format the interior of this book. And there's a lot of stuff. And not that I would hand off everything to my wife all at once because she's new to it, but if you had to give somebody in my position some advice, right? Like what would be the first thing if you're starting to work with a spouse or a partner, or even on a business partner level, like you're hiring somebody? Like it could look a lot of different ways, but where's the best place to
And
start?
you're talking to the right guy because my co-owner and CEO is my wife, and
Mhm.
my COO who runs the day-to-day of my company is my sister. And so it is like everyone
So
says, hey, don't.
nepotism. You're just telling me
No,
nepotism is
it's
the way to go.
super anti-nepotism. So she had to beat
I'm
out
kidding.
every other candidate, and like she started as my sister, not my wife, started as a operations intern. So she worked for 3 years, like 10 hours a week, and she worked her way up, and just one day was indispensable. And we were like, and so she
Mhm.
started getting promotions, and but she had a ton of management experience before that as well.
Yeah.
And she's super highly skilled with that stuff. So it worked out really, really well. And then we were able to hire her away from her full-time career in dentistry and do just this with us. My lovely wife has a PhD in pharmacology, physiology, and therapeutics. And so her previous job, before I managed to convince her to please, please, please don't make me do all of this work myself, was she was a molecular biologist for the USDA. And so it was like none of us are using our degrees anymore, which is great.
Yeah.
Like we're all very
It
happy
rarely
about
works
that.
out that way.
So I would say that first off, the fact that your wife is supportive and likes you, like is happy about your career and wants to be a part of it is a massive green flag. Like that is a
Yeah.
wonderful thing. So having supportive people in your life, that's already the biggest thing. Secondly, because she is supportive, I'm assuming she wants to be a part of it, then I would say yes. Just say yes. That you are not going to find someone more invested in your success and your family's success than your spouse, right? So if she's already supportive of your career, it is super sad to say that is rare, actually, like with authors, especially if it's like not a profitable thing already or whatever it is. Getting that like, hey, all of your free time is going to this thing instead of like other things. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I've been there and done that before.
yeah,
That's in a previous relationship. So
sure,
this is much different than that,
way
though.
better.
Yeah.
So yeah, if she wants to be there, and if she's able to do the skills or learn them, there's going to be no one who's more invested in making that success happen. So I would say teach, like
Mhm.
teacher, like we love to say is you delegate an outcome, not a process. So you say, hey, um, I would like my books formatted, and this is here's how I do it. I can show you that step by step thing, but if you find a better way to do it, please do. Right.
Mhm.
like whether you're using Vellum or Atticus, or if you are some monster who is just formatting directly in Word doc. I mean, like whatever they are most comfortable with, like if the end result is this looks as good or better than I could have done myself, why would you ever say you must do it my way when that way is the thing that's killing you, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I hate this so much. Now you have to do it exactly this way. No, terrible idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I like that idea. You're delegating the outcome, not the process. That's a good way to think about it. Everybody's going to do it differently. That's good. That's good. Yes, we've been. It's something we've talked about for a while because her day job she's not the biggest fan of. She would like it if I were selling a bunch of books, and so she's totally on board with that, and then obviously totally supportive of it just on the creative side. So for folks who don't have that, I can't imagine. It's not a. I'm not here to give relationship advice, and I don't know that you are here either, Dakota. But if for anybody
Can be.
listening, you find
I said I would
well, I
talk
mean,
about
sure.
everything, man.
Dakota Krout, relationship expert. We're just making up titles for you as we go along. But it can be really tough when you're in a relationship where your creative endeavors are not only not supported, but maybe like actively
Sabotaged.
sabotaged. You know what I
I
mean?
divorced my saboteur. So, in case anybody in the listening audience is like, should I? Yes, get rid of them.
Right. Right.
No, as soon as you start messing with my word count, bro, you gotta go.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's obviously like raising kids together, and we have 3, one from my previous marriage, 2 together, and then we're expecting number 4 in
Congratulations.
May. So like obviously there's still a lot going on in that realm, right?
So in your immense free time, you're also writing
Yeah.
books. Very cool.
Right. Exactly. It's I don't get enough sleep.
Hey man,
That's what it
Jack,
comes down to.
I got to tell you, that's the best way to write to get started, because then that's how you know you really love it. Like
Yeah.
But when I was first writing my first book, I was interning at NASA JPL. I was a programmer at a company. I was in the Army. I was going to college, and I had just gotten married. And so,
It's a lot
then
of
I was like,
plates.
man, I have so much free time. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm going to write this book instead of anything else. And that's how I knew I loved it, because if you can
Yeah.
think of anything else you'd rather be doing, you should be doing that thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yep. So good stuff, dude.
I'm waiting for Emma. She's supposed to go. Emma.
My
You had a
newsletter.
thing.
Okay, yes, I did. Because when you were, and I was taking notes too, I got distracted because I started revamping my newsletter marketing strategy again. I did implement the Michael Evans advice.
Again.
I implemented it. I started a Patreon. I implemented the chapter system, but now I'm tweaking it, as our conversation. So I am half listening, but I'm like making a plan based off of the conversation.
This is
I
how
do this.
Emma goes. Her brain goes, go. You gave
Yeah.
her a bunch
Whatever
of
we have on the
information and now she
podcast
won't stop.
that
I
week.
feel like the podcasts are free consulting. Like, take advantage,
Yeah.
man. Like,
That's why we
No,
do it.
it's
Actually,
cool.
that's the
Like,
secret to it.
like it's actually really rare to meet someone who's like, hey, I'm hearing something, I'm going to implement it now. Right? That's awesome. Like, I love
Yeah.
that. If I tell someone something and they're like, yeah, I'll think about it maybe, and then they never come back to it, I'm way annoyed by that. But when someone's like, hey, I love what you're saying, I'm trying to do it as you talk about it, I'm like, that's cool as heck, man. That's
Yeah.
And
nice.
one of the things we really wish more authors, especially beginning authors, would implement is a newsletter strategy. And you were talking about marketing, and that's where my mind went. And for me, that seems like low-hanging fruit because no CPC other than your elbow grease. You can get started with links in the back of your book. But how do you handle that aspect of being an entrepreneur? What's your newsletter strategy for yourself and your authors?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And so it's hilarious that you look at that and you say that's low-hanging fruit, because so many authors refuse to do a newsletter. They're like, I'm already writing enough. I'm already doing enough with the words. Why would I do this as well? And they forget that people like people. Like, it's cool to see a
Yeah.
series. It's cool to see a book, but they want, like, when you're being an author, you're also a minor public figure at the minimum, right? And if you give people a book, they might read it and then they'll move on. And then if you want to recapture them, you're going to have to advertise to them and be like, hey, for people that have read my book previously, come check out the next book. But if you're like, hey, look, I'm this dude. I'm not perfect. I've got all these things going on. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff, but also like, hey, look at this, my house exploded, like the windows all busted. For me, it was like, hey, I'm moving out of Minnesota because the tree in my yard exploded because it got to -70 and the sap expanded too quickly. So then the tree
Wow.
popped like a popcorn kernel. And so I'm leaving and moving to somewhere warm. And people were like, oh my gosh. And there was a whole debate and there was like links to YouTube videos and it was a whole big thing. And that was cool. And then I moved to Kansas City. I live in Kansas City, Kansas. It's great. And I got here and I unintentionally started a massive debate over the best kind of barbecue. And I mean, 2/3 of them were
As
wrong.
one does. As one does.
Yeah, like, 1/3 of them were correct. They're like the Kansas City barbecue, best stuff, obviously. And yeah, and so it's just one of those things where like, hey, when you go out there and you give things people can relate to, and you show them part of your life, you let them into to your life. Thousands more will let you into theirs, and typically that appears in the way of comments or buying your books or whatever else. And so do that, like let yourself be a little more open than your introverted self would otherwise typically allow. Is kind of
Yeah.
what I say.
And
But yeah,
it's not even
so go ahead.
oh, no, I was gonna say, and it's not even like you're exploiting
Yeah, no.
anybody here. This is you're
Yeah.
just building a relationship with you're being your genuine self. I think if you go into that like with the wrong intentions, it's probably not going to bear any fruit for you anyway. But yeah, if you're just like my tree exploded, or starting debate over barbecue. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Because you mentioned the 80/20 rule, and we see a lot of newsletters where it's literally a block of promotions, the entire newsletter, and then I have to be like, how shall I say this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a sales report, it's a newsletter. It's like, "Hey, what's new? Here's things that are happening," right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have anything exciting happening, what do you talk about then? Because a lot of authors are
Life.
like, I'm just, a gal or a dude at home in my pajamas if I wear them. Like, what do I talk about?
Cool, man. So, first off, if I talk about my pajamas, people are less interested than if like a, pretty lady's talking about her pajamas.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, "I'm riding in only a robe today," then I get some comments. Literally my robe right here. You can't quite see it, but I'm sitting on it because it's very comfortable. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah. So what I like to say is, hey, I don't really have that much to say because, guys, I love to write books, and so here's what I've written today. Here's maybe a little bit of here's a cool part of a scene, but not the best part of this scene, so that you can come in and experience the best part when you get here. Typically, mine is like, hey, here's a book that check it out. Like this is a book that I had come out a while ago, or a cool thing that's going on. Like it's doing this thing, it's hitting this benchmark, it's whatever it is. And it's not like buy this book. It's like, hey, check it out. This book that I put out a long time ago is doing super well. It's still in this bestseller rank. It's got this many reviews, this many hours read. If you're on Audible, they started that feature now, which is cool. You can see how many hours people listen to it, and then you can be like, I'm writing this next book. I'm super excited to work now on book 14. And in this last week, I wrote 25,000 words. So you guys can be expecting that I'll be done with this. It'll be going to my Patreon account because you were talking about Patreon. Like, hey, you'll see like these chapters are coming up on Patreon now. So if you want to read it ahead of time, check it out there. No worries if you don't. I love that you want to wait for it. Otherwise, like, hey, I'm just being at home, being a dad. Like I went swimming. Like it literally is just a lot of it is just, hey, here's things that I am actively doing. That's a newsletter, right? For
And
a
it's not like you
personal
have to
person.
say buy my book. You don't have to say
No,
buy
definitely
my
not.
book. Your writing these are readers. They
Yeah.
join the newsletter because they want to read. If you have a juicy quote in there or a sample of your work in progress, they're gonna naturally be like, I want more, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
go hunt you down. I mean,
And I
Say
like
make
the
make a
idea
template.
and I like the idea of still talking about what you're writing and like still talking about your books, because a lot of authors, when I've talked about newsletters before, like in webinars and things like that, and like what should you put in there, what should go in your newsletter, I think a lot of the advice, or at least the way that authors have taken the advice, is like, okay, I should only talk about my books 20% of the time, and the other 80% should be other stuff about like that's not related to my books. And I think that it's more like 20% of the time you're pitching them on some,
Mhm.
like, hey, this book's up for pre-order, right?
Yeah.
But that 80%, you can still be talking about your books. You're talking about them, but it's not a sales pitch.
Exactly.
And a lot of authors, I think, get hung up on that and think that, okay, I can't even talk about my books for 80% of the time. I have to talk about something else. But you just do it in a way that's like, it's not the hard sell, right? You're trying to be like, this is the coolest line I wrote this week. What do you think about it? Right?
Right.
That sort of thing.
And here's
Yeah.
zero context. Enjoy. And they're
Yes.
like, what? What
Yes.
am I looking at? Yeah.
Right. Like exactly. Like, what do you think this means? If you haven't read it yet, so add the context to this line. Yeah. It's
Give
fun,
'em
fun
a way
little
to
games like
respond.
that. Exactly.
Put
I love
questions
it.
in there. Be like, hey, I love seeing people respond to this. Why don't you guys pop in here and let me know you're interested, and I might send you a free book. I'll choose someone that responds to this newsletter and like send them a signed copy of this previous book that I was just talking about. Something like that. Something fun.
Yeah.
Just to make it more interactive.
That
Yeah.
brings
Doesn't
up
always
a
have to be
really good point, though. Because at the beginning, if you're not getting a lot of engagement and it feels like, and Jack has asked this before, but we're going to ask you, if you feel like you're talking or marketing into a black hole, you just keep on fighting the good black hole fight. Like, what do you do? What's the mindset around
Fight the
there?
black hole fight. I like that.
Or like, what should your expectations be? I mean, because you're not going to have this bubbling platform right away. It's going to
Sure.
feel like
So
crickets for a while.
I would say any brand is 10 years of work before it is a on-site recognizable thing, right? That's why you hear those 10 years to overnight success, right? We've all heard that, right? All of us have heard that. And it is way more true than people think. But like if I were like ba-da-ba-ba-ba, what were the next words you would say?
Have
Anyone?
it your way. Right.
Right.
No,
Like, I'm loving
I had to
it,
be
right? You know,
contradictory.
like
Yep, exactly.
grade me off a piece of that.
Kit Kat bar.
Right. Nationwide is
On your
On
side.
your
Okay, I
side.
got that one.
but like these are out there in the zeitgeist, but it's only because they hammer us with them over and over and over and over. Again, it's consistency in posting, consistency in writing. Nothing sells your last book like your next book. So like as an author, it is your job to write book. That is thing, right? And so you got to go and do the words most of the time. And you should have a little bit of your personal time devoted to these other things like social media and whatever. If you can have someone else do that for you, do. Like if they can act like you set up your brand, you put down in writing how you want to be perceived and interacted at like with online as quickly as you can manage to make yourself removable from that position and someone else can act like you do and do what you want it to do and say what you would want to say. It's to the point where you look at it and you're like, did I post that? I might have posted that. Oh, was it her? I don't know. Was it him? Could have been. If you can get to that point, step away and let them do that while you write your books as much as possible. Like go in there, talk to your fans, do your thing. Like you don't want to like abdicate that entirely, but you want to like in general, like, hey, I don't need to be writing the newsletter. I can just check it and make sure it's what I would say. I don't need to be doing this blog post. I don't need to be doing this, but I will spot check it and make sure it's what I want it to be like, right? As quickly as you can, that's the way to do that, for sure. In terms of getting people there in the first place, I would say there are always ways to do that. There are giveaways, there are lost leaders, there are reader magnets. So you can be like, hey, join my newsletter list and get a short story about this thing that no one else has read. You can't get anywhere else, delivered through BookFunnel. And it comes right to you and it's fantastic. Come and check it out. Or we could even be like, hey, I saw that you came to my website and you didn't buy anything. Why don't you take the first book for free on me? And while you're here, while you're looking at that, at the end of the book, join my newsletter, get the next books in series, do all these other things. I mean, any of that works. And obviously going out there and talking to other people and being like, hey, you're in my genre. Could I hop on and do a live stream with you somewhere on like your Facebook socials or on your socials, like whatever it is, live stream, YouTube channel, and just have a conversation with you about like, yeah, you've been here a while. Can I talk about what my experience has been and we can compare notes and then hopefully your fans like me, my fans like you, hopefully, stuff like that. And so it is all about who you know, but it's not about having gone out there and like being like throwing money at things and whatever else. It's like going out there and making friendships and genuine relationships. And I have a whole talk on this called relational marketing. It's great.
Awesome. Where can that be found?
Can't.
Bro, unless
Sorry.
you sign up for your newsletter, unless I sign up for your newsletter, right?
So that's a good one. I do have a YouTube channel. So you can find some of my more informational stuff there. Because of this, I might make some of those more public. Yeah, but typically
I think you should.
I do do keep those for people in my own company. But at like conferences and stuff, they take them and put them on YouTube. So if you look up relational marketing, Dakota Krout is probably on YouTube somewhere. So that's the thing. Or system first series building. That was another one that would kind of work with the previous thing that you had talked about. So those will probably be on YouTube somewhere. I should put them live on my own channel because my channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they're already out there, you might as well.
Yeah, might as well. Yeah,
have the
I'll try and get
official
those
one.
up. I'll shoot at least Jack, because I have Jack's number. I'll shoot him a link, and he can give it to you
For
at least.
sure.
Although
For
everyone
sure.
else can just follow me directly, and then
I'll keep it for myself.
yeah. Otherwise, just find me on I think let me check YouTube. I think my account
Dakota Krout
is,
author, I think, is what I found when I did a quick
yes,
search.
Dakota Krout author. Yep.
So
At
I
Dakota Krout
subscribed. I subscribed.
Yeah, it was crazy how fast I started building up like followers and such on YouTube. I had no idea that it was quite as important as it actually is.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Dakota, this has been a great episode of the podcast. Well, thank you for coming on here for this nice conversation. It was a little more casual. Sometimes we've got like a really set agenda, but it was nice to just kind of be able to ask whatever was off, the top of our head and that sort of thing. Before we go, I want to give you the opportunity to shout anything out, your books, your publishing company, wherever that might be.
For sure. Well, thanks so much, guys. It's been really fun to be here, and thanks for the opportunity, because I love this stuff. It's super fun. I love the idea that there might be someone out there who takes some of this information and does cool, successful things with it. So hopefully that's you. And if you want to tell me about how awesome that experience was for you, you can always reach out to me at Mountaindale Press. So mountaindalepress.com is my website, mountaindalepress.store. You can find me on Facebook, any social media, actually, including YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all those places. You can find me on any of those. So wherever you like to be, I'm also there. If you're looking for a cool new series, if you are a big fan of like epic fantasy and things like that, I would recommend coming into my Completionist Chronicles series. It's 13 books out as of this December, 14 books out by early next year, 2026. And if you are more fantasy romance person, I have a new series called Damsels of Distress. It's five books. They're all standalone, so you can read one, fall in love with it, and then read all the other ones immediately, because of course you will. And otherwise, if you are looking for advice on LitRPG, cultivation, GameLit, we have great communities on Facebook, especially Discord. You can find us there. Just type those in as search terms. You'll find us very quickly. If you are looking for a publisher and you are a specifically cultivation lit RPG, a GameLit, you can definitely reach out to us at mountaindalepress.com. We have FAQ for actually like contacting us. So that's the thing. We're a small company, and we like to keep it that way, which is cool. Like, we have a set amount of authors. So we don't usually take submissions, but never hurts to try, right? That's the whole point of this conversation, is never hurts to try. Just get out there and try new things. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Dakota.
Absolutely.
It was a pleasure. And thank you, as always, to my co-hosts, Kelly Tansey and Emma Allison. I couldn't run the show without you, so thank you for everything that you do. And thank you to you, our viewers. If you're here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video. And if there is one takeaway you had from it, go ahead and leave that in the comments so that other people might find it there as well. If you're listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else, please follow us there and leave a review. It really does help. From all of us here at BookFunnel, I want to thank you for listening. We will see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos from BookFunnel. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.